Yan, so I see na marami ng thumbs up. Yan. Thank you, thank you. Yan, so good morning everyone. So I know everybody's excited for today's webinar. So we welcome you to the webinar initiated by the DICT Camarines Norte and the Philippine Society of Information Technology Educators Foundation Incorporated Region 5, entitled Webinar on Securing Web Applications on this day, June 11, 2024 from 10 a.m. and 12 a.m. via Zoom platform. Yan. So to formally start ang ating program,
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
To formally start, may I request for a moment of silence for our opening prayer and to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Father in heaven, we thank you for always promising to be with us. Thank you for the opportunity you have given us to gather for a learning conversation. Today, we lift our hearts and minds to you. Speak your words of life into our beings. We pray you will deepen our comprehension, broaden our thinking, and transform our understanding of what we will learn today. You are our wise counselor, perfect teacher, and faithful friend. Guide us, help us that we may apply our learnings for your greater glory. Amen. Father in heaven,
ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiging sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dilim mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tulad ng magiging, sa manlulupin, di ka magsisigil, sa lahat ng tulog, sa sigat at sa langit mong bahaw, may ginagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang isang ng patawad mo'y talumpay na nagliligid, ang ituwing na araw na kailan pa may madilig, lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsita, buhay lang isabing mo, ang higaya na pagmay makahami, ang mamatay ng nais sa'yo.
Ayan, so before we start sa ating main event, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Engineer Gregorio Alan Obacordo. You can call me Greg. I'm the Engineer 1 of the DICT Camarines Norte and I will be your host for today's session. And also with me si Sir Sab and si Sir JV as technical staff members. So we will be the one to address your concerns posted on the chat box. Yan, para maganda and smooth ang flow ng ating activity. So, here are your webinar guidelines. So, first, rename your Zoom display name to last name underscore first name underscore affiliation. So, pa-change po muna ng mga Zoom display name nyo para at least mabilis din namin kayong ma-recognize. And next is keep your microphones mute at all times. And then ask questions in the Q&A box. Interact with us through the comment section. So later we'll be having a Q&A portion. So if you do have questions in mind, it is recommended that you message in the question and answer box right away. So later we'll address it pag nag-start na yung Q&A session. And also yung sa Facebook Live, magbibigay naman din ng link for the Menti. You can chat din yung mga questions nyo doon. And also, I'm taking this opportunity that you are giving your consent and aware that this is recorded for documentation purposes. So, we are also live po sa Facebook page ng DICT Camarines Norte. So, if you have other colleagues na who wants to attend the webinar, they can check our page. It's the ICT Region 5-Camarines Norte. So we're also live via Facebook. Also, mga taga saan po ba yung ating mga attendees? Pa-chat na lang kung saan nakarating itong ating webinar. Kung mga taga saan po. We have here from Davao City, from NCR, Bataan, Sorsogon, from Naga City. Hello po, good morning. Yun, so marami na. From Capiz, Zamboanga. Wow, nakarating pa pala tayo ng Mindanao area. From Daet, Eastern Samar, Bulacan. Hello po, good morning. Thank you for attending po. Ano na lang po yung ating Zoom display name. Edit na lang po. Para at least mabilis din namin kayo ma-recognize. Yan, from Zamboanga City, Dasma Cavite. Hello po, good morning. Next guideline is observe etiquette and have a glass of water with you every now and then to hydrate every now and then. Yan. So para naman sa webinar certificate requirements, so please take note of this. So you need to accomplish both the attendance form and evaluation form. So note that the certificate will be sent to your registered email address no more than 3 days after the webinar. So you need to fill this out using your valid and active email address. So yung attendance form po is you need to accomplish it before 11 a.m. and then yung attendance evaluation form is before 5 p.m. Again, yung attendance form po is need to be accomplished before 11 a.m. and then yung evaluation form is before 5 p.m. So attendance will be posted on the chat box and evaluation form will be posted 15 minutes before this webinar end. Again, we are strict with the mentioned guidelines, so please do follow na lang po. Yan. So I'm honored to introduce to you today our speaker, Mr. Teddy Patriarca. Sir Teddy is a software engineer and a cybersecurity expert with over 9 years of experience. He is proficient in web applications development using various tech stacks and his in-depth experience in server administration and security, particularly Linux-powered servers. He also served as a resource speaker in a cybersecurity framework webinar and taught ethical hacking courses in Ateneo de Naga University. He is an open source project contributor and a former security team member at WordPress.org, responsible for the release of WordPress 602, 603, and 610. He is a former senior software engineer at Automatic, known for its WordPress.com product and WordPress.org involvement. So let us all welcome and give our virtual applause on the chat box our esteemed speaker, Mr. Teddy Patriarca. Hello, Sir Teddy. Good morning po.
Hello. Rinig ako?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear po.
Okay. Thank you, Engineer Greg, and thank you, the ICT, for having me again. So yeah, this is my second time being a speaker here in the webinar hosted by the ICT, and I'm glad that I was invited again. But first, let me turn on my video. Wait lang. Okay, then let me share my screen. Okay, kita na po ba yung screen ko?
Yes, sir. Kita na po.
Okay. Thank you. So, thank you again and welcome mga participants. So, yeah, I'm Teddy Patriarca. I'm a lead developer and like Engineer Greg said, former security engineer sa WordPress.org. Bale, right now, I'm actually not actively working on the cybersecurity field, but I believe I can still share my experiences, particularly in the web security. So, okay. So before we start, I assume people here are mostly technical persons, right? Because topic can be a bit challenging for non-technical folks there. So, but if anything is not clear, yeah, feel free to ask questions later, especially later sa Q&A part. Then there might be a lot of technical jargons, but I will try to limit myself sa mga technical terms para hindi magulo. And also, since this is securing web applications, I assume most people here are web developers or at least knows basic web development or the terminologies na ginagamit. Okay? But of course, non-technical people are still perfectly welcome. And also, yeah. Also, apologies kung medyo lagi yung internet connection ko. Of course, for some reason, nawalan ako ng internet the last minute. So if may mga di klarong words, just let me know. Okay, so let's start. We have, let's break down the topics. We have 2 topics and 1 Q&A session after that. First topic will be securing web components. So that includes the plugins, packages, libraries, and basically any component that can be used in web applications. I will be always citing WordPress as an example since nandun yung experience ko, and also WordPress is known for its vast amount of free themes and plugins. So yeah, it's a perfect example para dito sa topic na to. The next topic will be brute force attack. So we will be discussing different types of brute force attack, and then I will try to demonstrate and also mga preventions and mitigations on how to prevent yourself and the web applications that you are maintaining. Okay, then the last will be Q&A. Okay, so let's start with the first topic. All throughout the session pala, I might use the term plugins, ano pa ba? Packages, components, libraries interchangeably. But most likely, isa lang yung tinutukoy ko kapag na-mention ko yun, no? Basically, it's a web component para lang mas clear. Now, let's define first kung ano yung web component. So nowadays, if you are developing web applications, chances are you don't implement all the codes, right? I mean, let's be why do you need to implement codes out there? Merong mga downloadable na codes. So chances are that you are currently solving a problem that already solved by other programmers in the past. So it's a smart way talaga para to reuse others' code, and it has been proven and tested na instead na magde-develop ka ng bago. So one example of web component will be plugins. So what is a plugin? Basically, a program that extends capability of web applications. So it enhances the UX or user experience by offering features that wouldn't natively support by the app. So we will not be actually focusing more on the plugins, but rather yung another example. But for now, one example of these plugins are yan, browser plugins such as yung mga ad blocker nyo sa browsers nyo, or if you have grammar checker, password managers, yan. Or sa media player naman like mga codecs, or if you are a developer, also IDE plugins, yun sa kung gumagamit kayo ng VS Code extensions. Also kung gaming, like mods or any hack na ginagamit nyo if you're a gamer. And office suites like similarly grammar checker tools sa office tools nyo. So basically, another term for plugins are add-ons, extensions. Yan, they are just basically the same. Now, another component is libraries and packages. So Sabi dito, similar to plugins, it allows developers to extend or enhance the capabilities of the web application. So compared to plugins, packages and libraries are more developer-focused thing. So smaller siya compared sa plugins, but basically does the same functionalities that wouldn't natively supported by the base application. And for this reason, kaya very popular ang WordPress sa web development because you don't need to learn code when you use WordPress. Okay? Actually, it's very popular that I believe 43% of the whole World Wide Web are running WordPress. So, ganyan siya kalaki. And it's very easy learning curve compared to very steep learning curve kung mag-aaral ka ng pure programming kasi you need to learn HTML, JavaScript, and any server-side programming languages. So plugins libraries and packages, think of it as mga ready-made codes na and isasalpak nyo na lang sa web applications nyo. So ganun. So again, in this session, we will be focusing more on WordPress packages or any packages libraries na hindi mga ganitong plugins. Okay? So example of these are programming frameworks like if you are JavaScript developer, React.js or Laravel, Spring, mga ganyan. HTTP clients, Bootstrap, Tailwind. So dependency managers like Composer or NPM and WordPress plugins nga. While WordPress plugins are called plugins, I decided to categorize it as a library since it's a bit technical and medyo smaller siya. Parang yung usage niya falls under the similar to libraries and packages as opposed to plugins. Okay, so now that we define the plugins, well, how can we relate it sa security, no? And also, how do we know if the component is or the library component is actually vulnerable? Before we dive into that, let's go back sa WordPress again. Like I've said, 40% of the whole World Wide Web are using WordPress. And there are a total of 60,000 free plugins, not including yung mga premium ones and the themes. Themes are basically, para lang din siyang plugins but more focus on the WordPress look and feel. And there are 9,000 common vulnerabilities and exposures reported sa WordPress. So, medyo malaki. Later, we will discuss what is common vulnerabilities and exposures or CVE. So, most people in the web development will say that WordPress are insecure. WordPress sites are insecure. WordPress often ridiculed kasi most of the web vulnerabilities are coming from WordPress. But if you think about it, since 43% nga ng website running in the internet are made of WordPress, so there's really high probability na the hacking incident reported are running WordPress kasi nga 43% siya. So almost 50% na. Though I would argue na WordPress is actually secured. It's just there are a lots of plugins that are vulnerable. Pero yung core mismo ng WordPress, yung pinaka-basic form niya, it was actually very secured. Plus, it has been proven talaga na the reported incidents, mga cybersecurity incidents, came from the plugins. So remember, plugins are developed by third-party organizations or third-party or other people not affiliated talaga dun sa WordPress. And of course, another thing that can contribute to why is it na label siya as very insecure is because, like I've said, WordPress doesn't require technical experience. So it's very easy to install plugins, themes, and oftentimes people who are maintaining their websites are not actually a developer. So they just leave it without updating, or they just leave mga vulnerable plugins. Okay, so CVE, ito sa Common Vulnerabilities and Exposure. It's a way for the cybersecurity people to share or communicate vulnerabilities. So when someone discover a vulnerability, they can issue a CVE ID, and pwede nila to i-report sa MITRE, yung organization that handles the CVE, and the MITRE is actually backed by the US government. So again, once you discovered a vulnerability, you can submit it to the MITRE, and they will be assigning a CVE ID. Okay, so let's dive into that. So here is the website for CVA. Yan, very makalumang website but reliable siya kasi mabilis siya. Ayan. You can click the search CVE list. Then let's try to search WordPress and press enter. Yan. If you notice, sobrang dami ng reported vulnerabilities. So, wait lang, loading pa. Ayan, ganyan siya karami. And nasa 2022 pa lang to Anyway, scroll tayo pabalik sa taas. So, ganito karami yung reported na vulnerabilities sa plugin ng WordPress. There are a total of 9,480. And if we search 2024 alone, there are actually 1,650 reported vulnerabilities. Still a halfway sa taon. So, and there are already 1,650, which is quite alarming, no? So, it goes way back 2003. So, ito yung mga first reported. Now, let's go back to the top. If you notice, even if sobrang dami ng reported vulnerabilities sa WordPress, if you read the vulnerability details, you will be noticing na ito, for SSL and HTTPS redirect plugin, ito WordPress blog plugin, login and sign up pop-up plugin. So if you notice, most reported vulnerabilities talaga are plugins ng WordPress. So if I search the word plugins and highlight it, ayan, almost every line of the reported pertaining to the plugin, but not the core itself of the WordPress. No? Ayan. So let's try to search again, but this time let's use the WordPress core. So WordPress core has only 92 results. Actually, meron pa din mga plugins dito Ayan. Yung ibang results are still plugins, but let's try to find core. Core. Wala ba? Ito. This one. Ito yung WordPress core. Ayan. Yan. So, medyo kukonte yung mga reported na vulnerabilities involving the core itself of the WordPress. And again, most of it, like I would say over 95% are really WordPress plugins. So, yeah. Going back to the discussion, in short, while plugin is a great way to extend the functionality of your web application, it is also a double-edged sword as it increases the attack surface area or the attacker entry points of your web applications. And in case of the WordPress, plugins are the most responsible for vulnerability discovered in it. Okay. So what makes the component vulnerable? I've listed 4 na points. Yan. First will be mga unmaintained na plugins. So if there will be no official support from the community, or if the developer cease the development of it. Next is insecure plugins. So lacks of proper encryption or badly coded plugins. Then if the users don't update their plugins, so it become outdated, and any vulnerabilities that will be discovered in the future will be applicable to them. And lastly, if you are for some reason downloading plugins in untrusted sources, so it is also a host for, or what makes the component vulnerable. So abandoned plugins. So what will happen if someone discovers vulnerability to that plugin? The question is, who will fix it kung abandoned na yung plugin? And how does the developers or the users get notified when there's the vulnerabilities? So yeah, that's the risk for abandoned plugins. Because as a developer also, it is quite annoying, di ba? When you are looking for plugins and to be used in your project, and only to found out na meron lang isang package sa GitHub na pwede mong gamitin na magsosolve nung problems mo. Then, pagkatingin mo sa last committed date, 12 years ago pa siya. I mean, medyo guilty din ako way back na itatry ko siya whether it's working or not. But, in my opinion, I believe we should not take the risk kasi it's abandoned na nga. And any vulnerability that will be discovered will be applicable to the plugin that you use. Okay, so mitigations includes we should research for alternatives. We need to transition to a new plugin if available, or maswerte kayo where if someone fork the version of that plugin. So fork meaning in the terms of Git or source code versioning, when someone took over that code and continue develop it on their own. So yan. Next one is to minimize the dependencies on the plugin. So if the plugin is too basic or too small, or you think you can implement it, then why not just implement the functionality directly in the app that you are working? So pwede naman yun. But of course, it defeats the purpose of the plugin since plugins are used to para minimize yung coding times nyo. So pick your poison na lang. And also, yeah, switching to a new plugin will be not always smooth sailing kasi oftentimes migrating your data, configurations, or codes requires more manual work, which is sometimes unproductive kasi meron ng existing functionality and you just refactoring your code, di ba? So yeah, but those are possible mitigation measures for abandoned plugins. Next risk is the insecure plugins. So like I've said, no, poorly coded plugins that don't adhere to security best practices. Kasi not all plugins are created equal. So some developers are not aware of the security best practices or implement their own ad hoc security measures. So that includes proper encryption of the data, particularly sensitive data, or proper handling of authentication, also known as logins, and authorization, like access control. For example, this user is a admin, this is a regular user. yung proper pag-handle ng mga types of users. Third is data validation. So whether the plugin developers accepts input from the user without checking it, without validating yung correctness ng data, and a lot more practices. So mitigations measure for insecure plugins are basically just make a due diligence. Try to check and review plugins before using. Wag download ng download. Or is there an active community that supports it? Or for example, if the plugin you're using is open source or hosted in the GitHub, so you can actually check the code or assess it. Or actually, yung stars dun sa GitHub can be indicate na if the plugin has good reputation or good support, di ba? Or in the case of WordPress plugins naman, there are star rating system dun that you can use para ma-verify kung maganda yung plugins or reviewed siya by other developers. And last measure is to use dependency management to install or update your components in your web applications. So that includes yung NPM for the JavaScript developers, composers for the PHP developers, ano pa ba? RubyGem for Rails, kung may nagre-Rails pa ba dito. Yan. And some other para sa I think most programming languages naman has a dependency management tools na. So try to use that. Third risk is the malicious plugins. So I think ano naman to, common sense naman to. Downloading plugins from unofficial source has a high chance of plugins is maliciously modified. So but I think there one example of that is if the plugin is not available to the official sources kasi tinagal na nila. So, and you need it. Sometimes magiging desperate ka to risk downloading plugins from unofficial sources. Or sometimes I have an experience that attackers can invest in SEO so that their website can appear higher than the official ones. And that's increasing its trustworthiness. So yeah. Nadali na ako niyan in the past. Nakapag-download ako ng malware kasi mas mataas yung ranking ng dinadownload kong program. Yeah, anyway, it's a bit common sense naman. No? Do not download from unofficial sources. Or if you want to check it deeply, you can check the checksums of the file. But I think it's a bit of a hassle. And you can also run a malware tool to scan the downloaded plugins. And the final one is outdated plugins. So as a developer, one of our main role is to ensure that the project dependencies are regularly updated. And since outdated plugins doesn't have the latest version, so any discovered vulnerability can be used to it. Actually, this is true in all the softwares naman, no? Not just the web apps. Even the OS, if you're still using Windows XP, then chances are you are very vulnerable sa mga cyber attacks. Even in the mobile, if you're still using old version of Android, or if you don't update it, or even IoT devices, no? So yeah, at the same time, ensuring na to, ito yung dilemma naman ng mga developer kasi if you continue regularly updating your plugins, the challenge naman sa atin is ensuring not to break any changes when components get updated. Kasi sometimes you download a newer version of this, say for example, this Google Maps integration API. Then this new version is not for some reason not compatible na sa code nyo. So sometimes it introduces breaking changes. So still maging ano pa rin. You need a lot of testing before updating the plugins. So mitigations, update plugins to its latest versions if available, and monitor for libraries, components that are unmaintained and does not create security patches anymore. Yan. Additional mitigations include developers should always review the components and remove any unused ones. So you need to inventory, analyze, or monitor this library across your organization. Also, organization must develop guidelines and approval process for external component installation. So not all developers should have an access or power to install a plugin or a component in your project kasi it can lead to yun nga, mga risk. Also, use automated tools to manage components, update and detect vulnerabilities. So, I once have a project many years ago kung saan na-hack kami and someone uploaded a malicious file called PHP shell, and the attacker was able to execute mga sensitive commands to our web server. So as I investigated kung saan nanggaling yung entry point ng attack, I discovered na our boss actually installed a jQuery, parang jQuery upload form in our public web directory para lang may ma-upload niya yung files na kailangan niya ma-view. And then our boss didn't inform us na nag-install siya ng ganon and para nakalimutan niya ng i-delete. So, yeah. So, organization must develop guidelines and approval process talaga for external component installations. Okay. Having said that, here are the challenges, no? Kasi, yeah, we discussed the risk and how the plugins can be vulnerable. So, as a developer naman, in our defense, we have no way to know what the component versions we are using most of the time and whether they have known vulnerabilities. Because web developers or even developers in general, not just web developers, we will rely on plugins most likely don't have a luxury or time to identify those such things kasi maki-oras siya, no? And usually, we developers, marami tayong task na kailangan i-prioritize instead na continually monitor these plugins. So, they would have to monitor those sense of mailing list, blogs, and forums in order to stay afloat in this information. So, yeah, people needs to invest talaga. Because they need to subscribe to the forums and I find it tiring. No. Lalo na kung hindi ka gaano ka-passionate sa cybersecurity or hindi siya main part ng job mo. So it can lead to burnout in some developers. Other challenges includes developers are unlikely to find their own vulnerabilities. Similar analogy siya sa developer can't find their own bugs, di ba? When they're developing. Not all the bugs makakatch ng developer. That's why nga kailangan ng code review process when working on software development. So yeah, as same with the security, we developer we don't unlikely to find their own vulnerabilities. It requires extensive security experience to identify it. And also, automated tools are sometimes ineffective at analyzing vulnerabilities. So, yeah. So, those are the challenges. I know this can be a bit painful process and might require a lot of time, effort, money sa organization. But I think the risk is too big and it's becoming bigger and bigger since that's how the software development works nowadays, right? We tend to use plugins as it becomes more and more complicated. sa pag-develop ng software and more fragmented. That's why should be yung mga organization should invest in cybersecurity talaga or hire people that will focus solely on checking these plugins. Okay, having said that, let's go to component vulnerability tools. So I listed 4 tools that can be used to detect or even patch vulnerable components, but we will be only focusing on WP Scan. GitHub Dependabot, yeah, it updates dependencies and detects the vulnerabilities. So it's actually a bot sa GitHub. If your code is hosted in the GitHub, you can use that to automatically create a pull request and update your plugins. For Retire.js, yeah, for JavaScript developers out there, you can use that to detect yung mga plugins that needed to be retired. So I'm not fully familiar with it kasi I'm not a JavaScript developer. But yeah, it checks for mga unmaintained packages. And last for Sneak, it's actually a commercial dependency or vulnerability scanning tool para sa mga dependencies mo. Unfortunately, I can also demonstrate this since meron akong account pero I don't have a permission to do sa organization namin. So yeah, focus tayo dito sa first one, WP Scan. I prepared a WordPress website in my local na ito. So let's go to the dashboard and let's go to the plugins page. So if you notice, I have 5 plugins, but I only activated 3 plugins. Okay. So our goal here is to check whether these active plugins have a vulnerability. No? And if you notice, hindi ko siya in-update. Mga lumang version to ng plugin. Just to demonstrate yung vulnerability scanning, capability ng WP Scan. Okay, so WP Scan. Google ko lang. So ito yung website niya. It's actually free tool. Ayan. And for the free tier, you can use 25 API calls per day. So 25 times mo na siya pwede magamit per day. And yeah, that's it. Let's try to use it. Or if you want to download it, ito yung tutorial dito sa under resources menu. Okay, so I'll be open ko lang yung terminal. Then WP Scan-H for help. Ayan. So it listed yung mga possible arguments or mga options na pwede mong gamitin sa tool na ito. So let's try WP Scan. WP Scan -URL ba yun? -URL. So WP Scan -URL, then the URL of my local project, local WordPress here. Okay, so it is done. There are actually meron siyang mga juicy info like kung ano yung web server na ginagamit ko, PHP version, other important details, the WordPress version. But the most important one is WP Scan was able to identify yung active plugins ko like Contact Form 7, Photoblocks Grid Gallery, and the WP Recipe Maker. So, ito siya, mga active ones. But if you notice, wala asan yung mga vulnerability niya? So, wala pa, no? So, in order to extract the vulnerability of it, we need to pass another argument, which is enumerate VP, or short for vulnerable plugins. Then, we also need to pass the API key. Teka lang, kunin ko lang yung API key. So let's wait for the result. Ayan, yan, done. So now that we pass those arguments na enumerate vulnerable plugins and API key, meron na siyang nilalabas na kung ano yung vulnerability that was identified sa installed plugins natin. So, sabi dito, yung contact form 7 has a arbitrary file upload vulnerability, cross-site scripting, and open redirect. For the photo blocks grid gallery naman, CSRF or cross-site request forgery, and another XSS or cross-site scripting. And last wala. Yung recipe maker, I think wala siyang vulnerability despite na old plugin siya. So yeah, that's one example to detect na may vulnerability sa WordPress plugins mo. So from that, you can actually just simply update ang mga plugins and check again dito sa WP scan if still persist yung vulnerability. Kung still persist, maybe it's time to switch to a new plugins. But yeah. So that's it. GitHub Dependabot again, it's actually sinabi ko na kanina, it's just a bot sa GitHub that automatically updates and report mga security vulnerability sa mga packages na ginagamit nyo sa inyong project. Okay, so to summarize, so Component extends the capabilities of web applications that wouldn't natively support by the app. Examples are the plugins, libraries, and packages. Components that are abandoned or old versions downloaded from untrustworthy sources can pose a significant risk in the security. And lastly, vulnerable components can be hard to detect and securing it. So yeah, it's a time-consuming process because of its continuous maintenance a bit. Okay, so that ends the first topic. For any questions, later na lang sa Q&A. Let's move on sa second topic, which is the brute force password attack. So there are 4 types of brute force password attacks that we will be tackling in this session. First one is the I call it vanilla brute force kasi yun na yun, brute force. So it tries all the combinations of username and passwords. Second one is dictionary attack, wherein the attacker can use a predefined list of words to be used one by one. Then we also have password spraying attack, where it only brute forces the username against the most commonly used passwords. And last one is credential stuffing, where one compromised account will be used in either or in various web services, hoping to get unauthorized access. So since brute force is purely guesswork, all of them are really inefficient, no? Especially in the web architecture, because web architecture has a HTTP request and response overhead. So medyo mabagal siya mabagal siya to send one attempt at a time. In opposed to sa mga ibang other attacks, like if you try to brute force a login account, say for example sa operating system, or if you try to brute force a Wi-Fi password, mas mabilis siya. So the probability of successful attempt ng brute force attack in the context of web application is really, really low talaga. Actually, it's 100%, pero you will most likely die at the old age before you successfully crack the correct combination. That's why still very low. So let's tackle first the brute force attack. So ito yung pinaka basic form niya, the most vanilla one. So it attempts all the combinations of username, wala yung username sa username and password until the correct one is found. So it's 100% effective but not very inefficient kasi nga mabagal siya. So I think ang 9-character or 10-character password can take up to a million of years to crack. That's why it's very important to have a very long password and complicated password. So basically, it can actually easily mitigated by implementing mga more robust security practices, which will be discussed later. And also, it relies on hardware capability. So the more powerful your hardware is, like if you have more cores or threads in your CPU, the faster it to crack. Kasi mas maraming attempts per second ang kaya niyang i-send. Next one is the dictionary attack. So it uses a predefined list of common words or words found in dictionary to guess the password. It can also do a bit sophisticated attack like replacing common letters with symbols. So if the word is apple, it can also try to use apple with E as tree as E, or make it sticky caps or 4 ganito. Parang yan. It will be trying all the combination for that word. Okay, so let's try again the WP scan to perform dictionary attack, no? Kasi WP scan can also do brute force attack, particularly nga etong dictionary attack. So let's go back to the demo websites that I've prepared, and let's navigate to the users menu. I created 3 accounts para dito, and we will try to perform dictionary attack dito kay Teddy username. So our goal is to identify yung password ni Teddy using dictionary attack. So before that, we need a dictionary, or we called it word list. No? Meron na ako actually in my, I think, dito. Okay. So I have prepared a word list here. Ito. Medyo marami siya, medyo mahaba siya. I think nasa 65,000 letters ito, but still small compared sa other kasi merong umaabot na mga million lines of dictionary file. But of course, just for the sake of demo, kaunti lang. So let's go back to the WP scan command. I'm sorry. And we will be using this -- passwords na argument and the usernames argument. Okay? Kasi, yan, ito yung way para ma-link natin yung file and then yung target username natin. So, let's try. WP scan --URL WP. Then let's pass the password argument in my then the usernames, which is Teddy. Huh? Mali, sorry. Pwede, lakihan ko lang to. Okay na yan. Okay, invalid option, password. Bakit? Okay, passwords pala. Sorry. Okay, so now it is trying to performing dictionary attack. Ito yung mga words na ginagamit. Oops. Yan. So it's trying to perform dictionary attack and wait lang natin a few seconds kasi nilagay ko na dyan yung correct password. Ayan. Success. The password daw is ito. So that's how you perform dictionary attack sa WordPress. So let's try yung na-discover niyang password. Log out. Teddy. So let's try muna maling password. Okay. Then let's try the correct password. Okay, so that's it. So we were able to identify yung password ni Teddy na user, and we were able to successfully gain unauthorized access. So that's how the dictionary attack works. Now let's move on to the third type of brute force attack. It's called password spraying. So this one, it uses commonly used password across different usernames. So it's a bit different from the brute force, where it tries all the password combinations from single username, or also sometimes brute forces both username and password. Pero dito, yung username lang ang bino-brute force natin. So it has one benefit than brute force kasi it can avoid account lockouts, no? It usually happen when you try to brute force a single account. So account lockout, ito siya yung mga security measures ng mga website admins na whenever they detected mga failed login attempts na consecutive, pasunod-sunod in such a small span of time, they will automatically lock the user or even the IP of the attacker, and even inform the users na may nag-brute force sa account nyo. So using password spraying, pwede niya ma-circumvent yung security measures na yon. Kasi nga, most of the account lockout tools relies on the usernames only. Although, of course, some lockout systems are a bit sophisticated and still can detect kahit na bago-baguhin mo yung username, especially if they base it on the IP address. But yeah, it's still a good alternative than brute force. Okay, so how do we do that? Attackers can brute force or use dictionary, or even buy a list of usernames from previous data breaches. So it is estimated that there are 14 billions daw na compromised credentials na nasa internet. Or if you don't have capability to buy these data breaches, mga list of usernames, you can actually guess the format of the username. Kasi most of the emails naman, medyo you can, guess yung pattern. Like, di ba very common to sa company emails, like first name, last name, or last name, first name at company.com. So you can try to guess it. And then once again, the password field is constant, or very limited lang yung pwedeng baguhin, like the top 10 most common password, and then the username yung binabrute force natin. So what are the most common passwords? I think alam nyo ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yung best, yung pinaka-common passwords. So sa 2023. And then yung admin. Then yan. Ito yung usually tinatry ng password spraying sa password field. So etong 10 ito. Okay, so that's the password spraying. Now let's go to the last type of brute force attack. This one is a bit interesting and quite new, unlike those three na medyo existing na siya way back year 90s siguro or year 2000. This one is a bit new. So it uses compromised credentials from existing password breaches. Then sabi dito, user tends to reuse username and password. Sinong guilty dito? That includes me. Pero dati, yan. So, submitting dozens or hundreds of other sites can allow attacker to compromise those accounts too. So, basically, ang ginagawa nito is the attacker, once again, buys or obtain a collection of compromised credentials. Yan. Then, the attacker can use those credentials to log into different applications. So, for example, kukunin niya tong test.com with a password 123456. Then, itatry niyang ilog in kay aa.com or dito sa web application na to, kay acme.com, kay mail.com, or kay dogo.com, or maraming web application siya itatry. And these actions are automated, no? Hindi ito manual process. So, it's quite fast. And oftentimes, they use botnets, mga infected na computers that can issue commands remotely to log into these accounts. So that's how the credential stuffing works. Actually, you can obtain the list of compromised data. All you have to do is medyo for free. You can just Google it maybe, pero please don't para safe tayo. Anyway, the success rate of this is 0.01 to 4%. While it seems like a very, very low chance, 0.01%, no, ang baba, you need to consider that there are over 1 billion compromised accounts uploaded in the internet. So, let's say sa 1 billion na users, na compromised users, 0.01% ilan? 10,000 or 100,000 ba? I think 100,000. So, yeah, still a pretty big number and quite concerning. So, what's more sa 4%? Medyo magulo kasi yung nabasa ko kung 0.1 ba or 0.4. Some others says 0.1, si Google sinasabi niya 0.4, sinasabi niya 4%. So kung 4%, ilan yung 4% ng 1 billion? 4 million ba? I think. So yeah, pretty big chance. So yeah, bakit mataas yung chance? Because nga sabi sa mga articles there are over 60 to 70% abusers that reuse passwords. Kasi nga naman, we need to understand naman there are a lot of web services out there. So, remembering different, unique and different complicated password to those web services, medyo hassle talaga sa part ng users. Now, how would you know if your account is compromised? So, enter, have I been pwned? Does anyone know what is this tool? I think it's quite common nowadays pero I'm not sure kung alam nyo to. But anyway, it's a web service that allows the user to check their credentials, whether it has been compromised or not. So the visitor can actually enter their email address and see kung saang mga companies na may data breaches yung email nyo. Yung mga naka-tied na records dun sa email nyo. You can also try to input your password and it will return how many times the password has been found in those billions data breaches na available. For its algorithm, it uses k-anonymity protocol. So medyo secured naman siya. Medyo another topic na siguro si k-anonymity. Medyo ano siya, malalim. But it allows secured checking without fully disclosing the search password. So let's try it. Yung website niya is haveibeenpwned.com. Ito yung homepage niya. You just need to enter yung email address. So I'll try my email address. So nakalagay dito no phone found. I think it's because hindi ko naman to ginagamit email na ito and I just registered it few months ago. So malinis pa to. But if you try a more common email like maybe test@gmail.com, very common. Okay, so according dito, involved siya sa 442 data breaches and found 635 pastes. So ito yung mga list na companies that have been breached with this email account. Ayan. So let's try a less common one. Pero sino kaya? Siguro mga common names with number. Okay, so for this email na sinambahan ko lang, 43 data breaches daw and listed in Adobe. And also, ang kagandahan dito sa website na to is ina-explain niya yung kung kailan nangyari yung data breach, kung ilan yung ilang accounts yung na-compromise, and other important details. So, yan. Ano pa bang mga kilalang application? Ito, Gravatar from my previous company. LinkedIn. Dito din. MyFitnessPal. Trello. So, yan. Madami siya. So, if you go back to the homepage, nakalagay naman dito kung ilan yung pwned accounts or yung, so 13 billion yung list of compromised user accounts. And yung breakdown ng mga compromised account kung saan galing. That includes also Facebook accounts, 549 million. Okay, so ano pa yung features niya? Passwords. So let's go to passwords. You can type ano ba? Yun na lang 1 2 3 4 5 6. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 is as in 42 million. So if you try medyo complicated na password, like I just smash my finger in the keyboard. Ayan. It's pretty wala siya kasi very long and chances are wala pang compromise list using this password. So if I try password, yan. Or maybe admin 1 2 3 4 5 6 and exclamation point. Ayan. So you can try to use your password here para just to check kung secure pa ba yung ginagamit mong password. And please do not try to reuse it. Nakalagay naman pa dito na yung credential stuffing. And the last feature of it is the API. So although may bayad kasi siya, you can use it in your web application. So example, you are creating a login page or sign up page. You can integrate this Have I Been Pwned to say detect whether yung password na ginagamit ng user has been compromised or not. So yeah, you can just check the API documentation in their website. Okay, going back, we're almost done. Now, how do we mitigate those brute force attack? Of course, use a secured password, di ba? Or very obvious naman. And also, don't use password that can identify yourself, such as mga birthday, pet's name, name of your spouse, or others. And I can't stress this enough, but please try to enforce MFA or multi-factor authentication if possible. Kasi if you try to enable it, it enable para siyang second layer of defense in your authentication para hindi ka ma-hack agad-agad. And it actually eliminates the most of the password attacks. Of course, do not write your password or store it somewhere else. And I recommend to use password managers. So password manager can eliminate yung problem na to maintain a unique password across different applications and also eliminate yung pagsulat ng mga passwords. There are free password manager tools out there, although medyo limited yung functionality niya, but I think it gets the job done. So yeah, I strongly recommend talaga to use password managers. And then, yeah, like I've said, unique password across all the apps to reduce the likelihood of credential stuffing. And we can set up, if you're a developer, we can set up brute force detection and avoidance tools. Maraming mga components, mga plugins that continuously monitors your log files and detect patterns na para malaman niya kung may nagbo-brute force nga ba sa account niyo or sa websites niyo. So that's how do we mitigate the brute force attacks. Okay, so to summary, brute force is it attempts possible combinations of username and password until the correct one is found. There are 4 types: the vanilla brute force, dictionary attack, password spraying, and credential stuffing. There are 14 billions of credentials available that can be used to make brute force more effectively. We users tend to reuse username and passwords, making them vulnerable to credential stuffing attack. Have I been pwned? It's a web service that allows the user to check if their credentials have been compromised and enable MFA. Password manager, use complex password and unique passwords are the common ways to mitigate the brute force attack. So I think we are done with the second topic. So any questions so far?
Sir, we do have questions po.
Sure. Sige lang.
You'll entertain question na, sir. Sige po. First question, sir. What will you do if mine is pawned by Sir Alvin Lagniton?
I'm sorry, ano ulit? What?
What will I do if mine is pawned?
Okay, basically change your password. Okay, kung yung username nyo appeared in the have I been pwned, try to check yung nilist na organizations kung may access pa kayo doon. If you are not using it anymore, maybe try to request to delete your account or try to enable multi-factor authentication there. And also try to, of course, change your password to a more secured ones.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So next question po,
answer ko.
What if your password manager mismo ang na-compromise by Sir Jericho Courtney Joyce?
Yeah, actually it happened last year sa one popular password manager has been compromised kasi meron siyang password, meron siyang master password naman na sobrang haba. But I think according to them, it's quite secured naman kasi even the password manager or those company behind them, they don't know yung nasa loob kung ano yung ini-input natin kasi it's heavily encrypted. But still, kung ma-compromise siya, better to take security measures like updating passwords on your all of the on all of your accounts. But like I've said, ano naman siya, encrypted naman siya sa yan yung sinasabi ng password manager. So encrypted naman siya and should be secured.
Yes, sir. Another question, sir. Can I still use a pond email?
Yes, of course. Like I've said, all you have to do is ano na lang, just take precautionary measures like updating your password or enabling MFA, multi-factor authentication. Kasi it's a bit of a hassle naman kung papalitan mo yung email mo kasi just kasi lumabas lang siya sa compromised account or sa have I been
Paano, sir?
pwned. So you just take precautionary measures.
Paano, sir, pag nagpalit ako tapos nangyari siya ulit?
Nagpalit ka ng email
I
or
mean,
password?
nagpalit ng password.
Sorry.
You change the password and then the email got pwned again.
If it got pwned again sa yeah, actually you can maybe try to check kung ano yung company na nag-issue kasi 'di ba nalabas naman dito yung company that has been compromised, no? That's at gmail.com. So you can try to reach out to them maybe or try to check any security articles sa details ng data breach because sometimes despite na na-breach siya, sometimes encrypted naman yung mga data natin. Although the best way still is of course update your password and if kung kaya niyang mag-change ng email, so be it na change kayo ng email. Pero yan.
Ang mahirap kasi nun, sir, if may marami ng transactions din yung email na na pond nga. So it's better to change the password na lang po siguro.
Oo, talaga. Kasi hassle din naman talaga kung magpapalit ka ng email
Yes, sir.
dahil lang lumabas sa have I been pwned.
Yes, sir. Another question pa, sir. Credible daw po yung I have been pwned.
Yes. The developer of this named Troy Hunt, kilala siya in the world of cybersecurity. And also, like I've said, it uses K-anonymity protocol para lahat ng mga ini-input natin dito is actually can determine us kung sino ba talaga tayo. So, it's quite anonymous kapag ginamit mo and credible na developer siya in the field of cybersecurity.
Yan, sir. Pwede pa, sir, mag-ano ng questions?
Sige lang.
Next question po, wait lang. Can you name what is the best authenticator app, sir, or suggest by Sir Clyde Arot?
Yeah. Sa MFA kasi, you can use SMS, you can use email, and the authenticator app. So SMS, kung walang other option, you can use SMS. But kung merong other option, just ditch the SMS kasi it can be spoof. Email, medyo hassle mag-open ng email from time to time. So that leaves authenticator app. I think the OT, the Microsoft One and the Google Authenticator is halos naman sila quite on par with each other in my opinion. But personally, I use Authenticator kasi Google Authenticator kasi mas simpler yung UI niya and mas madali ko siyang ma-access. But I believe the underlying protocols ng Authenticator app is similar and secured naman pareho. So it's just based on your preference na lang siguro. But for me, again, I choose Google Authenticator kasi mas basic yung UI niya at madali kong makita yung mga numbers.
Oh, yes, sir. Tsaka din siya parang na-notify pag kapalit na yung mga numbers. Next,
Yep.
sir. What's your take or opinion on the hack websites of our government agencies by Sir RJ?
Wow. What's my take? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can answer that. I'm not actively in, like I've said, hindi na ako active sa field ng cybersecurity for the past 2 years. But and I don't do any black hat activity naman. So my take siguro is, yeah, government should step up their game, particularly, yeah, I want to, yeah, you should step up the government should step up their game in the field of cybersecurity, conduct um any penetration testing, or better to hire a third party siguro. I don't know. Um, third party to perform penetration testing sa mga website ng government. Kasi yeah, public facing siya, and parang ano talaga, once ma-deface yung mga website ng government, it can also affect yung credibility ng mga ITs in the that works on the government offices.
Yes, sir. So next question po, do you have a recommendation, free VPN or suggest to purchase a VPN?
There has been a discussion lately in the use of VPN. Marami kasing VPN nowadays that promises to encrypt your data or make you anonymous, but in fact, they are the ones that collecting your data and sold it to advertisers. So personally, I would suggest not to use VPN unless kailangan mo talaga, like you need to, ano ba, you need to access content exclusive to the other regions. But for the sole purpose of, like, you need to keep your anonymity online, yeah, I cannot suggest reputable VPNs right now. So if you check sa YouTube yung post ni, sino ba yung UK na YouTuber? Tom Scott about the VPN. So you can try to check that, and he explains how VPN collects your information.
Yes, sir. Next po is, what's the best way to implement two-factor authentication in WordPress, both in cPanel and in user account side? What plugin do you recommend?
I can recommend, balik tayo dito. Maybe Jetpack. You can use the Jetpack to enable 2FA. cPanel is not actually part of WordPress, but it from the ano siya eh, from the web host or web host provider siya eh. I don't know if cPanel can actually offers two-factor authentication. But yeah, best is if you can contact the web host manager support kung meron kayo, then try to ask them kung if they provide 2FA. Again, as for the WordPress, I recommend to use, teka, yung Jetpack, basta yung pangalan niya. Eto. So you can use that to enable, ano siya, it's a umbrella term that no, not umbrella term. A big plugin that composes various security tools that can enhance your WordPress security. Okay?
Yes, sir. Open for questions po, sir?
Anything else, sir?
Sige pa,
Sure,
sige po.
sige.
Wait lang, sir. May tanong dito, sir. Ano po bang mga skill na dapat meron ka para start ng foundation sa career? Siguro ng cybersecurity.
Knows how to chat GPT siguro. Hindi, joke. Ano, of course, programming skills and basically problem solving skills. If you know how to solve a problem and think in logically, then you can. Then second one is to yun nga, various programming languages, particularly ang ginagamit sa field ng cybersecurity mostly are mga Linux commands, mga low-level programming languages such as C++ or Python. Basta anything programming languages. Kasi once you learn naman one programming language, you can easily translate it to the other one. Kasi mag-iiba-iba lang siya sa syntax, but the underlying principles and concepts of it are basically the same.
So,
And also,
optional,
sorry,
optional
sorry,
to,
sorry.
Sige,
One
sir,
more
sige.
thing sa field ng cybersecurity. You aside from technical skills, I also advise people skills. It's the best way kasi kung skillful ka lang and you don't have a way to medyo takot ka mag-speech or makiusap sa ibang tao, mahirapan ka kasi most attacks nowadays require social engineering. So you need medyo charismatic na approach. You need to be more charismatic pagdating sa social engineering skills. And that's why technical skills alone is not enough.
Yun, sir. So, optional daw po
Okay.
ba yung tawag dito, programming skills? Or is it open, pwede daw siya sa mga career shifters?
I would say you can skip it, pero mahirapan ka kasi most cybersecurity job roles might require you to do some, for example, automated scripts, di ba? Or might require you to create an exploit, particularly dito sa certain programming languages na to. Unless kung ang type of job na naka-assign sa'yo is more on social engineering, siguro you can skip the programming part. Like say, for example, engaging people or gaining trust of other people. So maybe kung yan yung type of work mo sa cybersecurity, perhaps you can skip the programming part. But still, programming part is very foundation in the field of cybersecurity.
So, at least may basic knowledge ka lang din po, sir, sa mga programming na yun po.
Yep.
Tapos, sir, may question pa po. Wait lang. How does encryption work? Ayun. And why is it important for protecting sensitive information po?
Encryption work. Okay, there are actually two types to encrypt your data. First one is hashing, ang tawag, and the encryption. So encryption, let's skip the hashing muna. Pero the encryption is basically kapag for example, nag-usap tayong dalawa, so magkakaintindihan tayo, pero yung ibang taong makikinig will not be able to understand kung encrypted yung pinag-uusapan natin. Parang ganon, yan yung purpose niya. Para yung makikinig sa pinag-uusapan natin dalawa, hindi maintindihan ng ibang tao. The basic form of it is the pinaka-basic Morse code. It's actually example of encryption. So hindi siya yung normal na language na ginagamit and hindi siya agad-agad maintindihan ng ibang tao. So ano yung purpose ng encryption? Purpose is to hide the sensitive details from the network. Kapag nag-transit yung data from one node to another or pa nag-transit yung data over the internet, so hindi agad hindi maintindihan nung mga ibang attackers. Okay? Unless they have a way to decrypt the data, which is Nowadays kasi hindi na din naman Morse code yung ginagamit natin to store or transmit the data. It's very secured. I think AES 256 something like that. So it's very hard to decrypt yung mga encrypted message.
Yes, sir. Can you recommend a WordPress security plugin by Ma'am Janiel?
Yun na din yun. Jetpack actually is quite reputable in terms of enhancing the security of your WordPress. So it is actually I'm kasi it's part of my previous company, automatic pig-endorse sila, but it ano ka siya, reputable plugin way back 2010 pa. So yan, Jetpack. So it also, I think, performs automatic backup. So just in case someone deface your website or delete the important data, you can easily restore it.
Yes, sir. Tapos, as per Sir Alton Bascuña, is implementing security challenges during login helps mitigating data breach?
Sorry, paki ulit. Sorry.
Is implementing security challenges during login helps in mitigating data breach?
Yep. Hi, Alton. I know you. Yeah. There are certain yung mga tools na pwede nating gamitin during login, like yung sinabi ko previously, etong mga brute force detection and avoidance tools to enforce account lockout. So it continually checks the access log of your web server and also detect na etong IP ito nagbo-brute force sa atin, so i-block nga natin tong IP ito para hindi na makapag-brute force. Ganon. Mga certain tools naman that enforces account lockouts. Another tool maybe is, I think CAPTCHA is a great tool to avoid mga automated requests, mga bots that performing brute force against your website. So it can indeed improve your security posture dun pa lang sa login pa lang.
Another question, sir. Any recommended vulnerability checker po or Laravel? Checker po for
Laravel,
Laravel or Cognitor made systems or site?
If I recommend kasi, you can also use it in in bad Pero sige, you can use I think OWASP Z eto. You can use the OWASP Z account. Wala na. Teka, Google lang natin. Ito, Z account attack proxy. It's a vulnerability scanning tool tailored for web applications. It continually scans lahat ng mga public links sa website na ipoprovide mo sa kanya, and then can detect mga SQL injection vulnerabilities, ano pa ba? Mga cross-site scripting, yung mga top 10 common na mga vulnerabilities in the web. So, yeah. I personally used it way back nung nasa cybersecurity pa ako. And also it is maintained okay. It was maintained previously by OWASP, yung parang open source na mga nag-handle ng security sa web. But I think nagbago na sila ng owner. But still, I believe pa rin siya. It's still a reliable tool.
Tapos may tanong dito, sir, from Sir Darius. It is safe daw po ba to store your username or password sa mga note applications ng iPhone or Android?
note applications. By note applications, I believe parang plain text na applications,
Yes, sir.
no?
Parang yung notepad
Mm.
or keep notes, parang ganun, sir.
I would say hindi siya secured kasi first of all, yung mga note applications ng iPhone are I think nasi-sync siya between clouds sa iCloud mo or if you try to open it if you have another Apple account, say MacBook, nagsi-sync doon, no? Um, tingin ko naman secured yung connection niya, but why would you try to store it in the note? Maybe kasi someone might be able to see it kung may makialam ng computer mo. So, the best way is still to recommend to secure your password is password manager tools talaga. Kasi built-in talaga siya to store sensitive details such as password. Unlike notes that are generally just to store any text.
Paano kung in-store mo siya, sir, for example, yung parang secured folder na app na you need to enter pa your password or patterns, parang ganun, sir.
I think pwede naman, no? Pwede naman. So long as secured siya, so long as it's better compared dun sa normal lang na notes app. Yeah, pwede naman as an alternative for password manager. But of course, take my words as with a grain of salt, no? Baka kapag na-compromise kayo, ako yung sisihin nyo. But still,
Babalikan
it's
si Sir
better
Ted.
than nothing. Still better than nothing.
Yes, sir. Another question pa, sir. Wait lang po. Any suggestions po for WordPress starting up aside from Jetpack?
Unfortunately, hindi na kasi ako masyadong nagche-check ng mga WordPress nowadays kasi nagbago yung field of work ko. But if maybe Sonar, let me check kung meron silang plugin. Ay, parang wala. Yeah. WP White Hat Security can be also a great alternative. Pero unfortunately, wala siya dito kasi it's a paid plugin. So I think you can search it in the Google. WP White Hat Security. What else? Maybe any plugins by the Sonar Cube kung meron. Teka. Kasi Sonar Cube is a reputable company and then also a great reporter ng mga plugin vulnerabilities ng WordPress. Eto sigurong Sonar Cube Analysis. I don't know kung plugin siya. But anyway, yan na lang. Tapos WP White Security. So this one, MelaPress. I also recommend that. So it also provides 2FA, CAPTCHA, login security, activity logs. Okay?
Yes, sir. Siguro I think okay na yun, sir.
Okay. So,
Let me share my screen lang
ano
po.
ba? Yep. Thanks everyone. Thank you. And end ko lang
Sige,
yung
sir. Wait, let me share my screen lang po. Saglit lang.
Sige po.
Ayan. So, thank you, Sir Teddy, for sharing your insights today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, the ICT.
Thank you, the ICT.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so now move to the certificate of appreciation to be given to our speaker. And so let me read the citation first. So Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Teddy O. Patriarca, MIT, for sharing his invaluable insights and expertise as a resource speaker during the 2-hour seminar Securing Web Application on June 11, 2024 via Zoom.us platform, given this 11th day of June 2024, signed by the Provincial Officer of the ICT Region 5 Camarines Norte, Dr. Eileen L. Relion. So, thank you po, sir. Teddy, for sharing your insights.
You're welcome. Thank you din. Thank you din sa lahat.
Yan, so I think you can open your cameras para sa ating photo op para sa ating speaker today. So kindly turn on your cameras. I think pwede yatang mag-on ng camera. Nakakapag-open ba ng camera yung mga participants natin ngayon? Pwede po bang mag-on ng cameras yung ating mga participants? Hindi daw po pala hindi po pala nakaka-open. Naka-disable din. And so anyway, siguro mag-ano na lang. Nakapag-screenshot naman po siguro sila Sir JV, yung ating mga technical staff. Screenshot na lang natin. Yan. Also, yan. So before we end, please don't forget to like and share yung aming Facebook page para updated po kayo sa mga seminars, webinars, and training hosted by us. And also yung mga e-government services na pinoprovide ng DICT. So please do follow and share. Paki-spread sa mga friends nyo and colleagues and sa family nyo as well. So one example ng e-gov services namin is ito yung e-gov app. So we do highly recommend na i-download nyo po yung e-gov app. So e-gov app po is also known as the e-government Philippines. So it is a mobile application that simplifies transaction between the government and the citizen. So yung e-gov app po is a super app for your government transaction. So dito po pwede nyo pong kita yung mga government transactions nyo such as yung PhilHealth, SSS, GSIS, ganun. And also po meron po dito din yung national ID, yung sa PhilSys ID po natin, makikita din po natin dito sa e-gov app. So yan, we do encourage you to download the app. Tapos, ayan po yung website. So, you can check the websites on what's all about and kung ano yung mga applications na nandun sa app. So, if you do have also questions with regards to the e-gov, so pwede nyo naman din po kaming i-chat sa aming Facebook page. Ayan. So, hopefully makapag-download. Pwede mahanap nyo po siya sa Google Play and sa App Store. Yeah, so before we officially end, we would like to thank the PSITE or the Philippine Society of Information Technology Educators Foundation Incorporated Region 5 Chapter for generously sharing their resources so this webinar could happen. So PSITE is Region 5 is headed by their president, Professor Marnel Allen Sanchez. On behalf of the DST Camarines Norte Region 5, our Provincial Officer Dr. Eileen Relion, OIC Regional Director Rachel Ann P. Gabador, we would like to thank you all for joining us in this webinar. Last but not the least, thank you, Sir Ted. We are grateful for sharing your insights today. Yeah, so we hope to see you again. We hope to see you again, guys, soon sa mga upcoming webinars namin. And thank you so much for actively participating. So we do what do you call this? Remind you na please do accomplish yung ating evaluation form. So it is posted. So sa mga hindi po nakapag-attendance, we are strict po na kino-close talaga po namin yung response at the given time slot. So itong evaluation form po, we'll close this at 5 p.m. So please do accomplish na lang po yung ating mga evaluation forms. Ayan, so thank you so much for everyone for attending this webinar. Thank you, thank you. So this is your webinar host, Engineer Greg Bacordo, now signing off. And have a great day, everybody.